Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Amesie's Corner, podcast number 2 or 3, 3, 2.
Actually,
officially number 2.
It's officially number 2, yeah.
Yeah, we got Tech Legend. He's the guy over here that knows the inner workings of YouTube, videography, and everything. I'm the guy that knows the nuts and bolts about cars. I figure we have him on here because he can explain stuff that I don't understand about the inner workings of what you guys are watching, and I can explain the inner workings of what we're talking about. So anyways, what we want to talk about first is something that very, very, very much interests me. A lot of you guys who watch my channel know I really love the old Ford trucks, the 70s Fords. I have a real penchant too, and there's been a few vehicles I've had when I was very young. A twin grill F100, a couple of those. I've had, a bunch of vehicles we beat off road. One of those was a 1977 second gen rather, the first year of the second gen Bronco. Really cool truck, and my uncle actually had it. This would be the truck right here. Hopefully this works.
Too many cords. Just send me that photo afterwards, and I'll edit it in.
Yeah, it's all on. Everything I'm going to kind of reference in pictures. I was going to go to Wikipedia, that way anybody else, you guys following along at home, can see it. But yeah, he had a second gen Bronco, and this was, I don't remember exactly the year, but I was like 13, 14, I think 14 and a half years old. I was going to get my license in a year and a half or so, and I got my first job working at a car dealership. And I had done a bunch of work to this Bronco for my uncle. He wanted me to fix it up for him. At the time, I was a better mechanic than he was. Kind of strange how that worked out, him being a lot older than me. But he told me that I could have the truck if I got a job, because I think he wanted to move on to something else. And if I got a job, I could buy the truck off him, make payments. Well, I got the job, and I was supposed to start the next day. So I said, hey, I got a job. I'll take this truck. And we ended up taking it off-road and going through the mud pits and stuff. And me being young and dumb and stupid and all, I decided, hey, let's take this thing down the hardest to get through trail in the woods. And we did, and got the thing completely mired, completely stuck off road. And I went to my buddy, a friend of my family's house, and a friend of my father's. I knocked on his door at like 2 in the morning, trying to get him to help me. He didn't answer the door, but the next morning I went and got him, and we went and got the truck out of the woods, and it was a cool adventure just to do it. I ended up, bringing the truck home completely covered with mud. I submerged the motor so much that we ended up cracking the exhaust manifolds. Did a bunch of damage to the truck. But like I said, I was young, and that brings me to where we are now. It being 2020, they're re-releasing this vehicle, and I have never been more excited for a new vehicle release as I am about the 2020 Ford Bronco. I think it's still kind of up in the air of what this vehicle is going to look like, but a lot of the concept stuff I see kind of looks like the first gen and a little bit of the second gen. They've got a couple different body styles. There's like a panel side, a sedan 4-door version that looks like the old Excursions, and then a 2-door version that really looks like the first generation. And I've never wanted to go to a dealer and buy a new car more than I think I'm going to in 2020. But I don't know if I'll ever buy a new vehicle because of the stuff that, what they say, never buy a video game system or a computer at launch because it's going to quickly become outdated or anything. But I've never been more excited about a car. And that takes me to a lot of the manufacturers nowadays are just going back to their old designs. I think Ford started it with the Mustang. You guys all remember the first gen 65, 64 and a half, 65 Mustang. It had a very distinct look to it. And then they brought the new Mustangs back in the early 2000s. They brought a lot of the styling cues. And that started this hearkening for the past that the automakers seem to have. I don't know if they're trying to relive their past, because a lot of new vehicles in the mid 90s were just kind of starting to all look the same. And like even nowadays, a lot of the SUVs and crossovers all just, you look at a Subaru and you don't know if you're looking at a Subaru or a Hyundai. They all kind of look like a jelly bean with doors. You know what I mean? So I see them bringing back a lot of these designs. Chevy with the Camaro looks just like the first-gen Camaro. Dodge brought back the Challenger, looks like the early Challengers. Now I'm trying to decide, and I want to know you guys' input and maybe your input. Do you think they're trying to relive their automaker past, or are they trying to let the people who are buying cars, the baby boomers and whatnot that are out there now getting older with their disposable income, their children moved out, now they have grandkids. Are they trying to sell these cars to bring new people in, or are they trying to get the baby boomers and all of that, the generation born in the 50s and early 60s, when these cars were all new, and bringing back the styling? I'm wondering if they're trying to live romantically with the styling, so the person, when say someone who's 55, 60 now, back when they were like 13, 14, 15, and they saw the first Camaro going down the road, or the 65 Mustang going down the road, I think it's really cool that they're doing it, but I haven't really decided if it's for the consumer or if it's for the automakers themselves. What are your thoughts on that? Are there any cars, I know you being from Romania, are there any vehicles or any automakers over there doing any of the same stuff, bringing back old cars, old names, old designs?
I highly doubt that
you don't see any? Like what's a classic car that we didn't get in the States that you guys got over there? What's something that back in the 60s or 70s was a really cool car that people nowadays are really interested in?
I think a Ford Capri didn't get.
Yeah, we didn't get a lot of the Fords, a lot of the German and European Ford stuff.
But nothing gets revived. Like Europe is, Volvo is making good stuff, but it's nothing that was in the past. I cannot think of any.
Man, imagine if Volvo brought back the 240 and made a new version of a car that looked like the old 240, and then a 240 wagon. How cool would that be?
That would be awesome.
Updated suspension, updated internals and all that, but just look like the old square body 240. Wouldn't that be cool?
It would be awesome, but in Europe, most of the manufacturers are doing the emission game. They put the displacement as smaller. We have the VW Passat now, has a 1.2 liter petrol engine with, some high compression rate and a a single turbo system.
So they're just going for aero, whatever gets the best gas mileage. That means they're looking for aerodynamics. A lot of these older cars, we didn't have the computer testing that we have nowadays, so it makes sense. But you did mention Volkswagen, and they brought back the Beetle.
Yeah, but it's not the Beetle.
It's not the same. It's not air-cooled. The motor's in the wrong end. But it was the styling. They brought as much of the styling as they could. It still looked, they went back to the bubble style and the popping out fenders, the way the fenders come out of it. So, Volvo,
VW, but they didn't bring back the old Scirocco, which was appreciated even in the United States, right? The new one is nice, but it's just a Golf with a smaller body.
They did bring back the name though, right? So it's they did. I didn't know that's news to me. I didn't even know the Scirocco was being re-released. I know.
Oh, it has been for quite some time. I think since 2007. I think it's been available. It's a coupe now. Of course.
We didn't get it over here. We just got like the Passat or probably that car, but with a different name. But the Scirocco probably would have sold well if they had just named it the Scirocco. I know it's a very in-demand car. I know I've seen a few of them on my channel in recent years. I've had a few Siroccos. That G-Rotor one was
most of the European makers are not going about. Oh no! Pardon me, I'm mistaken. I think the only one that actually did something worthwhile is Renault with the Alpine 12, which they are remaking, which seems to be the rival for the MX-5. Seems to be, but it's a Renault, so I cannot expect much from them at some points. Citroen is making new cars that are resembling a bit of the old ones, and Citroen had very lovely designs in the 60s with the hydro pneumatic suspensions and everything. But in general, the European market is focused on big saloons that are very easy to flip every 3 years. Everyone is very focused on making cars that are going to be sold after 3 years, because this is how the consumer market is working here. They are so obsessed with having new cars, even in Romania, right? They go like, I'm going to pay 10,000 euros for a car that doesn't have ABS, doesn't have air conditioning, doesn't have a stereo on it, right? Because a new car, it's a new car. Yeah, but it's a box that has 3 stars in Euro NCAP. I mean, I've driven one of those cars, right? And when you slam the door to close it, it sounds hollow.
Build quality, yeah.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, who cares about build quality? It's brand new. You know,
I wish they would. To be honest, I wish they would bring back the Lancias of the 80s, the Stratos, the 027 or 037, I don't know. The Lancia.
832.
Yeah.
the Ferrari engine side.
Yeah.
Car there.
Yeah, the Lancia Thema,
Yep, the Thema 832. If anybody that doesn't know, that's basically the SAAB 9000 was like an early, what is now called a world market car, a car where they designed the base of it, the frame, the body, and then they let different manufacturers put different power plants in it. SAAB with the 9000 had the SAAB 9000, but the Lancia had the Thema 832, which was a Ferrari engined front-wheel drive SAAB, basically SAAB 9000. I think there's maybe like 3 of them in the United States here. You got to find a picture of that motor and put it up to show what we're talking. Just the motor itself in that engine bay, to me, is just it's just a work of mechanical art, to see that, the Ferrari name brand. How cool would it be to get one of those cars, put that whole motor and driveline in an actual SAAB 9000? To have the SAAB 9032.
There is even a video of one of those Themas on YouTube. I remember it. It's a black one in Italy, which sounds absolutely ballistic.
Oh yeah, it sounds like nothing like a Ferrari.
Yeah.
But looks like grandma's grocery getter, but goes like stink. Yeah.
Oh, I think even Alfa Romeo used to make that. And if you are watching and you want to buy something that is going to be ridiculously expensive in the future, buy any Alfa Romeo that has the V6 by Busso. If you find one of those right now, restore it, and it's going to make like a fortune on it. Because those origin engines are not exactly the most reliable, so most of them just exploded at some point. So find one, fix it, and just keep it for a while. And it's just, the engine alone goes for like 1,000 euros or more in very bad shape.
And that's now, 10 years from now, it's going to triple. Just like what we're seeing like my Sonnet doing. When I first bought that car, you could get a running example for $800. Now I'm looking around, I can't find a running example for under 4,000 with rust. Yeah. Rusted out and just as long as they run. So now's the time to collect some of these older cars.
Even the 900 Turbo SPG, you cannot find one under 10 grand.
Yeah, those a few years ago, you go down and you'd see them all over the place. You find someone with one in their yard just kind of with flat tires because they were sick of keeping it running. They pretty much just give it to you for scrap value. Nowadays, those cars, you can't even find them. Like another one was the SAAB 99. The 99s. A few years ago, I wouldn't even look at them twice. Nowadays, I think what happened was there was a viral story that was going around about a young guy that wanted to give his mother her favorite car, or her first car, and it was a 99. And ever since that story hit the interwebs, those cars are just taken off in value.
Yeah, many cars from the 80s and 90s are becoming cult classics, and every economy box from back in those days has the potential of becoming
like I've been saying, the less cool the less desirable a quirky vehicle was when it came out, the more it's going to be worth in the future. Yeah. Think of the Gremlin. Think of the Pinto, Ford Pinto. Everyone said, "Oh, don't get in a Pinto. Someone's going to rear end you. You're going to die in a ball of flames." Now I dare you to go find a decent Pinto for under 10 grand.
Yeah.
You know,
Or
this
yeah,
when I was young, you would just, oh, you got a Pinto as a first car? Ah ha 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 ha, you suck. Ah ha ha. But nowadays, I'd love to have a Pinto. You
yeah.
know, how cool would that be?
Do you remember the Toyota Corolla AE86? You
Oh
know?
yeah, I got a story about one of those. I've actually got a scar from one of those right here. I don't know if you guys can see it. Where there it is, right
Yeah.
there. That is a scar from one of those. What was supposed to be my first car, my father got me a car. It was one of those. It was spray painted yellow of all things, but it had good bones. But me and my friends, we lived in a small town. There wasn't a lot to do. They all came over my house. We saw the car, and one thing led to another, and we just destroyed it, and literally destroyed it in an afternoon. Just kind of, I had a tiny yard. We did a bunch of donuts in the yard. We ended up flipping it over, rolling it over, not driving it. We just all kind of picked it up, said, hey, I think we can pick this car up. Rolled the thing over. The windshield got crushed in on it, and I had to park it back where it was. It wouldn't run after we rolled it, so I reached in and grabbed the steering wheel. The windshield was pushed in, like right here, and when I turned the wheel, it sliced me pretty good. So yeah, I actually had one of those cars. I got to drive it for an afternoon.
Yeah.
Boy.
And now,
Nowadays, I could probably, if I had that car now, I could turn the thing around and buy a brand new car. You know,
yeah,
for
those
what car
things,
destroyed when I was young.
yeah, especially the JDM ones, 10 grand, 20 grand. Initial D is at fault for you. Everyone that watched Initial D wanted that car.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and all the drift guys love those things. They love the front engine, lightweight, rear wheel drive, and it's another one of those cars that I took for granted then. That is just, if I had it now, I could do life changing things with a car that I just kind of threw away as a kid in an afternoon.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah. What's old is new, and what's old is going to be worth money. It's just the way of the world. So anyways, the next topic, what do we have for the next topic? I think this is, which one was the connector?
Yeah, let's talk about the connector.
So we had a little, with the SAAB rally wagon, my 9.5 rally wagon that I had to get rid of a few months ago. I was having an electrical issue with it, and it seems like a lot of people have strange electrical issues, really hard to pin down, really random trouble issues, just not starting, not stalling, stuff going on with it. And I was running around with mine for a bit, and I noticed when I touched this certain connector under the hood, real easy to get to, real easy to access, the car would run different. And I took the connector apart, and it was all corroded inside. I think you had this same thing with yours going on, where I told you to take this connector apart. And what'd you do? You took the connector apart, and what'd you find in there?
I just, took the connector out of the socket and just found sand, basically. Yeah. Years of I think rain, dust, God knows what. And I just cleaned the pins and cleaned basically cleaned around that. And now it's working even worse for some reason.
Yeah, I mean that might be something else going on, but a lot
Yeah.
of people with the 9.5s, you're gonna want to check this connector. It's I know you've got some pictures of it. You probably splice them in, but it's right on top. You open your hood, dead center in the car, right in the back. There's a black plastic cover. You take that cover off. SAAB uses these special slide connectors. Real easy, real cool connector to take apart, and you'll be surprised with what you find in that connector.
Yeah.
And I would say probably 75% of the electrical issues you have with a SAAB 9.5 are going to be in this connector. Mine was so bad that the wire was green and corroded inside. I actually cut the wire, a main power wire to the PCM off on both sides and just hardwired it around. But you guys are definitely, if you own a 9.5, you're definitely going to want to check this connector, because I've seen a lot of people with trouble with these cars end up scrapping the cars, and now after learning this on my own, I'm thinking back to like 4 or 5 people that I tried to help but couldn't find this problem. I think this was the problem with the car.
Yeah.
So if you own one of these cars, if you're not comfortable taking a connector apart in your car, go get an oil change. Go to a garage, get an oil change, and ask them to check that connector for you. Any person who spends any amount of time professionally under hood is going to know how to clean and take it apart. So if you're not comfortable taking something apart, don't just go in there and rip it apart. unless you kind of know what you're talking about. I hate when I give this kind of advice to people and it's a little above their ability, so they can get just enough to get themselves in trouble. So it's definitely something you're really gonna, if you're comfortable, you're gonna want to check it. If you're not comfortable, have it checked. It's gonna save you a ton of problems.
Yeah.
I know you were saying it's running worse now, which is kind of.
What happens is I start it and it just cranks a few times and then dies, and then it starts perfectly. It could be bad gas because it has been sitting for like a few weeks. Could be the fuel filter, which I hadn't changed. Could be a million things on this car. It starts and it works. Yeah. It's a car that could be anything.
It's an old SAAB. You know what SAAB means, right?
Yeah.
Something's always almost broken.
Almost broken, yeah. It's like
almost broken. Just enough to irritate, but not so bad that it ain't gonna get you home.
Yeah, it's I'm just not worried at this point. If it starts after the first time or second time or third time, if it's moving, I just don't care anymore. When
drive the wheels off it.
Yeah, well, when I'm going to be like millions of subscribers and make like a fortune from YouTube, then I'm going to probably just restore it and rebuild it and have it pristine. But until then, it can work, with a bit of knocks and scratches and everything. It's just
that's it. You can park it anywhere in a parking lot, and you don't mind that it might get a day in it. Yeah, oh well, It's got a few. I'm not going to notice that one.
Having a car actually turned me into like an old man, to be honest, because it's parked in a parking lot, and in the winter, kids want the snow from the cars to make like snowballs or something. And there was this kid at one point who decided that the best snow would be the snow on the roof of the car, and they climbed on the spokes of the rims. Right, holding with the hand on the railings, and just started taking snow from the car. I was like yelling at him,
no.
don't make me come down there. It's like.
So you were saying when you're the famous YouTuber with 1 million subscribers and all that, I see this pile of stuff to your right there. What is all that? Is that all stuff you've been sent to review, or?
Some of them have been sent to review. Most of them have been sent to review. Most of them are actually things that I already did, but I have no room to separate them, so they just pile up. It's everything from fans to everything, and one additional helmet, which is right about here, which is vintage, so thus unwearable, but it's nice. But yeah, most of them are samples. Apart from the drinking bottles right here, those are not samples. I wish I had samples of those, but someone.
That's the thing. That's the thing. A lot of people don't realize when you start a YouTube channel, everybody wants to send you stuff. I get probably 10 emails a day just asking to review everything from plug-in cheap scanners to LED lights to wooden earphones, and you're always getting these offers. But I never have the time to do reviews on this stuff. Maybe that's where you could come in, reviewing some of this automotive stuff too. Maybe I could get them to send it to me, and then you can send it to you and review it, have them send it right to you. Maybe that's something we can do in the future. A little automotive tech reviews to go with the channel. The tech legend. There's a lot of tech in the automotive industry that you could. That you're looking at.
I think one of the things, if I had a car channel, would be to complain about how people do not use toothbrushes to clean their cars. I mean, I have like a bag of used toothbrushes. I mean, those are great, because they go everywhere.
Everywhere. Every toothbrush I have, I save because I use it to clean, like the electrical connector we were just talking about. One of the best tools you could ever use to clean an electrical connector.
Yeah.
An old toothbrush.
I did it. I think I even have a photo of that.
Yeah. With all these remote control vehicles I have lying around me, my favorite tool to clean these things is an old toothbrush. So we always keep one hanging back there somewhere, wherever that landed. Yeah. So what's the next topic we got? What was it? It was the connector, and then crazy car story, or
YouTube.
Ah, yes.
YouTube.
So, YouTube has changed its algorithm, which I found out just this morning when you told me, and it's kind of news to me because, like I said, I'm up on the automotive end of it. You know what's coming out on the automotive end, what's going on with that. You're kind of the YouTube go-to guy for me. You know a lot more about this. So why don't you explain briefly this new algorithm that just they're about to enable or are doing? I noticed when I came home on Friday night, my YouTube partner page was different. They
Mhm.
had done the beta that they're testing, and they didn't even ask if I wanted to change it. Just come home to my YouTube Creator Studio, and it was completely different.
Yeah, I know.
Completely.
It's the Studio Plus or something. I don't
Yeah,
know what
yeah,
it's
and I
called.
wasn't ready for it. I mean, I had like a lot of stuff to do. I was in a real big hurry to put some footage in my computer, and it's like I had to like, what the heck's going on? YouTube changed again, but whenever something
Yeah,
like that happens, I'm like, what else did they? I see the graphical interface has changed. What behind the scenes has changed, and that's something that you were telling me about. Why don't you explain
yeah.
that?
Basically, what happens is that they are fiddling with the subscriber system again, so that when you have when on the subscriber page where it should appear all the videos that you have from the channels that you subscribe to, it should come up in chronological order by date, and they are going to change that to be in terms of relevance. Relevance, God knows what that
Hmm.
means. Nobody knows, right? It's relevance. Basically, what happened and what has been discovered so far is that you have to watch every video of the channel that you subscribe to. Otherwise, that channel is going to be marked as not relevant to you, and you may not receive all the notifications from that channel in your subscribe feed when you subscribe, because that makes sense.
Yeah, like you would want to see every new thing that comes out, not just what's pertinent to
Yeah,
what you were last watching, correct?
yeah,
Like, so if you were
yeah.
watching
And
like say
oh,
video,
okay.
and then the next video in line is like a review of a tool or something, you're not going to see that review of the tool, right? You're going to see the political stuff that they might have had, which is a big no-no in YouTube anyway. But just
Yeah,
that's just
yeah,
a
yeah,
reference,
yeah.
something with touch on
Yeah,
that.
to go around, yeah, to go around that, just make sure that when you subscribe, you hit that notification bell, and that's how it works now. Also, there is a thing about talking about politics, which we are not going to touch up in this podcast ever,
Yeah.
because if you discuss about politics and it's the wrong opinion about certain politics, you get demonetized. And I'm not saying that just these videos get demonetized. No, the entire channel gets flagged, right? And everything gets demonetized.
So
And you cannot do anything about it.
a lot of creators, it'll come up, and I've had a lot of this happen where I'll put a video up, a really good video, a quality video, and it'll get flagged as not suitable for YouTube advertisement. And it's like, why wouldn't I think it was a review, a job I did, how to do a professional brake job. And it was probably one of my most professional videos I've ever done, and it got flagged as not appropriate for YouTube advertising. And I still don't know what I said in that video that would have gone there. But guns. I know anything with guns and anything with politics gets you like an instant behind the scenes flag that you may not even know
Yeah.
you have.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
politics is definitely a no subject unless that's your whole channel's theme is politics. Then it is what it is. But for an automotive channel and
No.
to discuss
No.
politics and stuff, or if I want to say even if I know if I say the president of my country's name, this video is going to get flagged. Just because I say
Yeah.
the president's
Yeah.
name. It might even
And
because I say president. It might even do it. Hopefully not. So a lot of people wonder why you don't
Yeah.
talk about why I haven't said that name or anything like that. It's because the YouTube and it's not like a person watching every video. It's a computer program that's just looking for keywords, and once it gets a couple of those keywords, it's not like a computer can't really
Yeah.
figure out context.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful what you say.
Or-
You say the wrong thing,
Yeah.
and yes.
Yeah, or you have someone that watches your video and disagrees with you and just flags your video as inappropriate, which has happened, of course, because everyone's so sensitive about everything, right? That you can easily just report your video. And the problem is that this doesn't limit to YouTube, but because people are out of their minds. Some people are like on the internet are not really have like a few loose screws, and if you talk about certain stuff, right, may wake up one day with a letter from someone to your boss saying that, oh, look what your employee is doing online.
Yeah.
And maybe perhaps someone is naive enough to buy into that and fire you.
Yeah.
And now suddenly something that you said on Facebook or on Twitter cost you your job or something. So at the end of the day, I'm just asking everyone: is it really worth it to talk about something like this? No,
Yeah,
really.
politics,
You know,
or
no.
anything like that.
And many other things that should not be discussed. You know, it's like.
And that's the thing with YouTube is you don't have any warning. You typically don't have any warning or say or anything you can really do proactively before they change it. I mean, I know they're always asking to do the survey, the creator survey, which, you know, maybe helps, but ultimately it's just a drop in the bucket because there's so many people doing that. So you got to always be careful with YouTube, and that's you know, they change things in a minute sometimes, and you just be real careful with it.
Yeah. And you can lose everything that you have in terms of revenue. Even PayPal is involved in this. Even Patreon is involved in this. I mean, if you start certain subjects, you may lose every way of earning something, and it's just not worth it. You know.
Yeah. So no politics, no politics, no politics,
no everything,
no guns, none of this. You know, guys, not going to see any of those on my channel. You just, you know, can't talk about it, can't play with them. Because even though it might be totally legal and legitimate, you still can get it in the back end from them, you know. So you got to.
I just blurred it. Don't worry.
Just blur it out.
But when we say that we don't talk about politics, it's about the fact that we defend our side job. I think for Paul it's a side job. Yeah.
And I would love to talk politics. I know there is a lot going on in your country, right down this Reno, right near you, that I would be totally petrified if that was happening here. You know, I'm sure you guys want to do some research, go find out what's going on in Romania, and with their people that decide what is to be, and it's pretty crazy stuff going on. You know, I saw
it's crazy stuff. It's crazy stuff.
I saw this video of a helmeted superhero run through, and you know, I thought that was you, and I'm not 100% sure that wasn't you. You know, you say no, but I see the smile on your face. You know, the helmeted vigilante running around saving women from the Gestapo, right?
Stop. Yeah.
Well, anyways, on that note, how about something a little lighter? Something I want to try on the end of each one of these podcasts is a crazy car story. Now, I had a really strange upbringing. The way I was raised, it's something that just doesn't happen nowadays. When I was a little kid, 3 or 4 years old, you could find me sitting under a hood of a Dodge Charger with my father drinking beer. I think you got a picture of that. You should probably show, but right from a young age, it's just I kind of was allowed to be on my own a lot more than any child is allowed to be. Some of the stuff I had done when I was a preteen would probably land most parents in jail nowadays. Just going out and finding old cars, getting them running and beating them off road. One story I want to share with you is pretty funny. I was probably 16, 17 years old. I had a 76 Ford F100. I know I've mentioned numerous times on my channel. And I had gotten the truck, and I didn't have a license at the time. The place I was living was right on a railroad bed that was just, there were no train tracks. It was an old bed that now has since been reopened. It has trains on it. But I was driving this truck with my little brother. It was a railroad trestle bed, high. It was really high with high sides, embankment to keep the grade through like a valley. And this truck had a column shift, a 3-speed column shifter, which I didn't care for. It's kind of what my SAAB 96, and I love it now because what was not cool then is totally cool now. It had a column shifter on it. Well, I had put a Hurst floor shifter. It had a 4-speed Ford top-loader transmission and a 429 big block engine in it. The thing, it went really fast, and I didn't have my license at the time. The truck wasn't registered. I would just drive it up and down this train bed, not really beating on it. It was kind of smooth, but I had to get the steering wheel off the truck to get that whole mechanism. I didn't want that lever hanging around. It would just kind of flop around, and I wanted to take it off. At the time, I didn't have a steering wheel puller. I was working nights at a donut shop to put myself through high school, which is a story for another time. But I had loosened the wheel up, and left just the nut for the wheel just a little loose. I could move it with my fingers. Just I knew over time driving it, it was going to pop off. So I'm with my little brother. I think he was maybe 10 years old, right around 10 years old at the time. I was living on my own. I probably shouldn't have been taken care of. I'm not even 18, and I got my young little brother with me. And we're off in this truck ripping down this train bed. You know, one wrong move, and we would have gone 20 or 30 feet down a grade. That's probably, you know, like that. You can imagine the truck would have rolled into the water, into marshes or everywhere we were. And we're driving the truck, and I'm doing probably 45 miles an hour. The tracks were straight as an arrow. And I'm doing 45 miles an hour. My little brother's having a blast looking around beside me. And we're driving. I feel the steering wheel go pop. And it got loose right then. It popped. I'm like, oh, my steering wheel's loose. I can finally take that stuff apart. I look over at my brother enjoying myself. And I reached down. I didn't have the horn pad on. I reached down. I just undo the nut, take the nut off, kind of hold it in my hand. And we're doing 45 miles an hour down a dirt train tracks, you know, death on either side of us. And I feel that wheel come loose, take the nut off. I look at my little brother, and I go, oh, my God, AJ, quick, take the wheel. I pull the wheel off the steering column and throw it in his lap. And we're cranking down the road. There's just a stub of a shaft sticking up where the steering wheel went. He's got the wheel in his hand. He looks at the wheel. He looks over at me. He looks at the wheel. He looks over at me. He gets up out of his seat. He's trying to put the steering wheel on. You know, oh, my God, we're going to die. Here he is holding the wheel that does nothing, and we're still cranking down the railroad bed. And just how we survive this sort of stuff, you know. I got my 10-year-old little brother. I'm not even an adult yet. I shouldn't even be taking care of a 10-year-old little boy when I was 15, 16 years old. And here we are, blasting down a train bed, unregistered, no seatbelts on, no steering wheel. And yeah, I just grabbed the wheel back from him, stuck it back on there, put the nut back on, and we went on enjoying our day. And I still, to this day, you know, tell that story every time I see him, and we get the biggest kick out of it. Quick, AJ, take the wheel. And I kind of crossed my arms or whatever, and we're just cranking down the road. And I mean, I could have just jammed on the brakes at any. No, it was a manual. I could just pushed in the clutch and jammed on the brakes and come to a safe stop. But he didn't know that. You know, 10-year-old. He'd never driven a car before. It just took him so by surprise. It's just a crazy car story. I'd love to someday be able to tell these crazy stories and have like someone animate a cartoon. I think it'd be a cool little cartoon to show that, and the facial expressions kind of, you know, exaggerated and all that. But I probably got 24 of these crazy stories with cars. I know I've told a couple of them, like the Volkswagen Beetle where the left rear wheel came off when me and my buddy were cranking down the same set of railroad tracks. But yeah, I'd love to tell one of these stories at the end of each of these podcasts. I got a bunch of them, so if you guys enjoy it, we'll throw them in there. So anyways, I wanted this to be a short podcast. Here we are, like, what, 50 minutes into it? Or But I got to get going. I had the old lady put the lunch in the oven, so that's getting ready to go. And I'm going to go off for the rest of the day and enjoy a mini bike I bought. I bought a mini bike to go play with off-road, and I think I'm going to film a review of that. And then I got some cool stuff going on with these RC trucks that I haven't showed on the channel. I know you've seen it, and anybody that's a member of my Facebook group have seen the videos I've shared of this one right here. And I've been using my mountain bike and ripping through the city with my mountain bike, driving the trucks with the controller with one hand. So I've just been waiting to get some good footage of that to share with you guys. So keep on the lookout for that. Hopefully the new algorithm isn't gonna keep you guys from watching my new content. So click on that notification button. Make sure you subscribe to Tech Legend, because you're going to see a lot of stuff from him. I'm trying to talk him into me filming some stuff specifically for your channel. I know we had talked, but you don't want to use stuff I filmed for you. But
no, I don't see it fair.
Well, I've done this.
Waste your time.
I've given. I do a lot of stuff that doesn't really fit on my channel, and I'm always looking for somebody to use footage that I don't have the time to. It kind of kills me to film something cool but not ever be able to put it on my channel because it's not automotive themed. I feel like because it's Amesie's Automotive Corner, everything has to kind of have an automotive bent to it. But I'd like to get some footage, you know, some things that we can put on your channel, you know, tech review stuff that maybe wouldn't fit on mine but might fit on yours, you know, something we can talk about. If you guys want to see some stuff on Tech Legends channel from me, make sure you subscribe to him. Give some love, you know. Well, all right, I got to get going. Like I said, this is running long. I want to thank everyone for watching. Comments down below. Let us know how we're doing on these podcasts. We do enjoy your constructive criticism and your unconstructive criticism. We laugh at it. You know, it's funny. You know, it's funny. Well, anyways, guys, thanks for watching. On that note, until next time, keep it out of the cabbage.